The boardroom fell silent. The Arab millionaire, smirking, waved the Maid's twins closer to the narrow table. "Entertain our guests," he chuckled. The executives laughed. "We speak 7 languages," the boys said, shoulder to shoulder, calm. Laughter grew, until the translator stumbled. In flawless Mandarin, the twins answered the investor, then Arabic, then French. Eyes snapped to a contract line the boys pointed out. The clause meant the opposite. The millionaire's grin vanished. His hand gripped his tie. He'd invited them up to mock them, and in 60 seconds they flipped the meeting, turning his joke into panic and their first shot at a dream he never saw coming. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now subscribe to the channel and let's get started. Why are those children in my boardroom? The sharp voice cut through the morning air like a knife. "You brought us here, sir," 10-year-old Elijah James replied, his voice steady despite the tall man's glare. Hassan Al-Farsi, CEO of Bright Star Investments, stood frozen. This was not how his joke was supposed to play out. The day had started like many others during school breaks. Marcus James woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning in his small Queens apartment. The alarm clock's buzz barely registered before his hand reached out to silence it. 4 hours of sleep wasn't enough, but it would have to do. Isaiah," Marcus called softly, his deep voice traveling down the short hallway. "Time to get up, boys." The twins emerged from their shared bedroom, already moving with practiced efficiency. At 10 years old, they knew the morning routine by heart. "Dad, I finished my math workbook last night," Isaiah said, stuffing a thick novel into his backpack. Marcus smiled tiredly. "That's great, son. You can start the next one today." "I brought extra pencils," Elijah added, always the organized one, "and snacks for both of us." Marcus looked at his sons with pride. Their blue Hamilton Academy uniforms were neat despite being from last year, slightly too small now but still presentable. They wore them even during spring break, a habit that gave structure to their days. "Remember the rules," Marcus said as they rode the subway toward Manhattan. "Stay in the break room, do your homework, don't wander around the building." "Yes, Dad," they replied in unison. The sun was barely rising when they arrived at the gleaming glass tower of Bright Star Investments. Marcus guided his sons through the employee entrance, nodding at the security guard. "Morning, Joe. My boys will be in the break room again today." Joe smiled. "No problem, Marcus. They're always so quiet. I forget they're here." The break room was small but clean, with a table where the twins could spread out their books. Marcus made sure they were settled before heading to the maintenance closet to begin his work. "I'll check on you during my breaks," he promised. "Call my phone if you need anything." As Marcus left, the twins exchanged glances. They had spent many days like this, invisible in the corporate world, where their father cleaned floors and emptied trash cans. On the 35th floor, Hassan Al-Farsi arrived at 7:30, stepping out of the elevator in a perfectly tailored suit. Marcus was cleaning the lobby glass doors and held one open as Hassan approached. "Good morning, Mr. Al-Farsi," Marcus said. Hassan walked past without acknowledgement, already speaking into his phone about the day's important meeting. In his spacious office, Hassan reviewed his notes one last time. Today's international investment deal could bring $500 million to Bright Star. Representatives from China, France, Saudi Arabia, and Germany would arrive in 1 hour. His assistant knocked on the door. "Mr. Al-Farsi, Melissa from the translation team just called in sick with the flu." Hassan frowned. "Call James from the backup team." 10 minutes later, the assistant returned with worse news. "James is stuck in traffic on the Brooklyn Bridge. There was an accident. He'll be at least 90 minutes late." Hassan slammed his hand on the desk. "The meeting starts in 45 minutes. We can't reschedule. These investors flew across the world to be here." "We're trying to find another solution," the assistant said, backing toward the door. Hassan paced his office, anxiety building. Without translators, Communication would be difficult. Some of the investors spoke limited English, particularly Mr. Zhang from China. At 8:15, Hassan left his office to check the boardroom preparations. Walking down the hallway, he noticed two young boys in blue uniforms sitting on a bench outside the break room. They were reading quietly, seemingly out of place in the corporate environment. "Who are these children?" Hassan asked a passing employee. "Oh, those are Marcus's kids, the night janitor. He brings them sometimes during school breaks." Hassan stared at the twins for a moment. An idea formed in his mind, not a kind one, but one born of stress and his habit of looking down on those he considered beneath him. With a tight smile, he approached the boys. "Hello there. What are your names?" The twins stood politely. "I'm Elijah James, sir," said one. "This is my brother Isaiah." "Well, Elijah and Isaiah, how would you like to see a real business meeting today?" The boys looked at each other uncertainly. "Our dad told us to stay here," Isaiah said. "Don't worry. I'm the boss," Hassan replied. "Come with me." The international investors were already seated in the boardroom when Hassan entered with the twins. Four serious-looking business people looked up in surprise. "Ladies and gentlemen," Hassan announced with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, "while we wait for our translator, who is unfortunately delayed, I thought these little helpers could provide some entertainment." Mr. Zhang from China looked confused. Madame Belmont from France frowned slightly. The Saudi and German representatives exchanged uncomfortable glances. "These are the children of one of our maintenance staff," Hassan continued, expecting the investors to be amused by his little joke. The twins stood awkwardly by the door. Then Elijah stepped forward, his young face surprisingly composed. "Good morning," he said in clear, perfect English. "I'm Elijah James, and this is my brother Isaiah. We're 10 years old, and together we speak 7 languages." The room fell silent. Hassan's smile faltered. Mr. Zhang laughed gently. "7 languages? That is a very funny joke." Then, speaking in rapid Mandarin, he asked, "Perhaps you can tell me your thoughts on market volatility in the Asian sector given the recent currency fluctuations." He winked at the other investors, clearly expecting confusion from the child. Without hesitation, Elijah replied in flawless Mandarin, "Market volatility in Asia has been concerning, but the underlying economic indicators suggest stability returning by the 4th quarter, especially if trade negotiations proceed as expected." Mr. Zhang's mouth fell open. Madame Belmont leaned forward, her eyes wide. In French, she asked, "And what about cultural differences in business negotiation between Eastern and Western companies?" Isaiah stepped forward this time. "Madame," he replied in perfect French, "the key difference lies in relationship building. Western business often focuses on immediate results, while Eastern partners value long-term trust establishment before finalizing agreements." The Saudi investor spoke next in Arabic, a complex question about financial regulations. Elijah answered smoothly in the same language. The German businessman joined in with his own question in German. Isaiah responded without missing a beat. Hassan stood frozen by the door, watching his attempt to humiliate these children transform into something entirely unexpected. The twins moved through all the required languages with ease, discussing complex business concepts no 10-year-old should understand. "Where did you learn all these languages?" Hassan finally asked, finding his voice. "Our grandmother was Dr. Amelia James," Elijah explained. "She taught linguistics at Columbia University. She started teaching us when we were 3 years old." "It was like a game," Isaiah added. "She said languages were keys that could open doors anywhere in the world." Mr. Zhang stood up and bowed slightly to the twins. "These young men are extraordinary. Perhaps instead of waiting for your translator, we could proceed with their assistance?" The other investors nodded in agreement, clearly impressed. "Why are those children in my boardroom?" The sharp voice came from the doorway, where Victoria Reeves, the head of security, stood with her arms crossed. "You brought us here, sir," Elijah replied to Hassan, his voice steady despite the woman's glare. Hassan looked from Victoria to the investors to the twins, realizing that his simple attempt to mock the janitor's kids had just changed everything in ways he never could have imagined. The room fell silent as Victoria Reeves waited for an answer. Her stern expression made it clear that children in the boardroom was a serious violation of company policy. Hassan cleared his throat. "Victoria, these young men are helping us with translation. Our regular team is unavailable this morning." Victoria's eyebrows shot up. "Children? Translating?" She looked at the twins with disbelief. Mr. Zhang spoke up. "These boys are extraordinary. They speak perfect Mandarin." "And French," added Madame Belmont. "Arabic, too," said the Saudi investor with admiration. Victoria seemed unconvinced. "Sir, this is highly irregular. There are liability issues to consider." "Please continue the meeting," Hassan told the investors, trying to regain control of the situation. "Victoria, a word outside." As Hassan stepped into the hallway with Victoria, the twins exchanged nervous glances. "Should we sit down?" Isaiah whispered to his brother. Elijah nodded, and they took seats at the far end of the table. The documents for the meeting were spread out before them. Isaiah looked at them with curiosity. In the hallway, Victoria was expressing her concerns. "Mr. Al-Farsi, having unauthorized minors in a confidential business meeting violates at least 3 company policies. Where is their father?" "Marcus is working on the 22nd floor," Hassan replied. "Look, I understand your concerns, but these children are saving this meeting. The translators aren't available and we can't reschedule." Victoria's lips tightened. "I need to document this situation, and I'm concerned about child welfare issues. Who brings their children to work and leaves them unsupervised?" Inside the boardroom, the investors had begun discussing the contract terms, with the twins translating each point. "Section 23 outlines the profit-sharing arrangement," Mr. Zhang said in Mandarin, which Elijah translated smoothly. Isaiah, meanwhile, was reading ahead in the contract. His eyes stopped on a paragraph in Section 24. He studied it carefully, then looked at the Chinese translation provided alongside it. "Excuse me," Isaiah said quietly. "I think there might be a mistake in Clause 24B. The room fell silent again. "What kind of mistake?" asked Mr. Zhang, switching to English. Isaiah pointed to the document. "The English version says the Chinese firm can only withdraw investment under extreme market collapse, but the Chinese translation says significant market adjustment. Those are very different conditions." Mr. Zhang picked up the contract and read both versions carefully. His eyes widened. "The boy is right. This translation error could have cost millions if market conditions changed." The German investor leaned forward. "How did you catch this?" "The characters used in the Chinese version don't match the severity of the English phrase," Isaiah explained. "Our grandmother taught us to look for these subtle differences." Hassan returned to the room just in time to hear this exchange. He looked stunned. "We should revise this clause with clearer language in both versions," Isaiah suggested. "Perhaps catastrophic market failure requiring government intervention would be more precise and fair to both sides." Mr. Zhang nodded with approval. "A wise suggestion." "Where did you learn to understand legal language?" Madame Belmont asked. Elijah smiled. "Our grandmother was a linguistics professor at Columbia University. She believed languages weren't just about words, but about how people use them in different contexts." "She started teaching us when we were 3, Isaiah added. "After our mom got sick, we spent a lot of time with Grandma. She made language learning into games." "Your grandmother must be very proud," said the Saudi investor. The twins' smiles faded slightly. "She died 2 years ago," Elijah said quietly. "We keep studying languages to remember her." Outside the boardroom, Victoria was making a phone call. "Yes, I need to report a possible child endangerment situation," she said in a low voice. 2 minors have been left unsupervised at a workplace and are now being used for business purposes without parental consent. On the 22nd floor, Marcus was cleaning the executive bathrooms, unaware of what was happening in the boardroom. He checked his watch. It was nearly time for his first break when he would check on the boys. Meanwhile, Benjamin Carter, Brightstar's marketing director, had heard about the extraordinary children in the boardroom. He arrived just as the investors were discussing the revised contract language. Benjamin watched in amazement as the twins switched effortlessly between languages. He pulled Hassan aside. "This is incredible," Benjamin whispered excitedly. "We should be recording this." Hassan frowned. "Recording? Why? Think about it. Child prodigies helping close an international multi-million-dollar deal. This is the kind of story that goes viral. It shows Brightstar as a company that recognizes talent in unexpected places." Hassan hesitated. "These are just our janitor's kids. I'm not sure—" "Exactly," Benjamin interrupted. "That makes it even better. Imagine the headlines. Janitor's children save international deal with multilingual skills. We could live stream parts of this on our social media." "Isn't that exploiting them?" Hassan asked. Benjamin shook his head. "We're showcasing their incredible talents. This could open doors for them, and for us, it's the kind of publicity you can't buy." Hassan thought for a moment, watching as the twins patiently explained a complex financial term to Mr. Zhang in his native language. "Fine," he agreed reluctantly, "but keep it professional. No circus act." Benjamin hurried out to get his equipment. Within 15 minutes, he returned with a small camera and tripod, which he set up discreetly in the corner of the boardroom. "Ladies and gentlemen," Hassan announced, "with your permission, we'd like to share some highlights of this extraordinary meeting on Brightstar's social media. Our marketing director believes this collaborative approach to international business is worth showcasing." The investors nodded their agreement, impressed by the unusual situation. Benjamin started the live stream as Isaiah was explaining a point about market regulations in German. Within minutes, viewers began tuning in. "We're getting comments already," Benjamin whispered to Hassan, showing him the phone screen. "People are amazed by these kids." As the meeting progressed, the view count climbed rapidly. Business contacts were sharing the stream with colleagues. News outlets were picking it up. Within an hour, thousands of people were watching the twins translate complex financial negotiations. On the 22nd floor, Marcus finished his cleaning tasks and headed to the break room for his 15-minute break. His heart stopped when he found the room empty. "Elijah? Isaiah?" he called, looking around frantically. Joe, the security guard, approached him. "Marcus, I think your boys are upstairs. Someone said Mr. Al-Farsi took them to a meeting." "What?" Marcus's face paled. "Why would he do that?" "Not sure, but everyone's talking about it. Apparently they're helping with translations or something." Marcus rushed to the elevator, worry etched across his face. He had specifically told the twins to stay in the break room. What was Hassan thinking, involving his children without permission? Back in the boardroom, the meeting was concluding successfully. The investors were impressed not only with the business opportunity, but with the unexpected assistance from the twins. "We will proceed with the preliminary agreement," Mr. Zhang announced, shaking Hassan's hand. "And we will ensure all translations are verified before final signing." "These young men have quite a future," the German investor commented, smiling at the twins. Benjamin was ecstatic. The live stream has over 20,000 viewers now. It's being picked up by business news sites. As the twins stood to leave the boardroom, they were surprised by the applause from the investors. Unused to such attention, they smiled shyly. "Thank you for your help," Hassan told them, his earlier mocking attitude completely gone. Just as they stepped into the hallway, they saw their father rushing toward them, his face a mixture of confusion and concern. At the same moment, the elevator doors opened at the other end of the corridor. A stern-looking woman with a briefcase stepped out, her eyes immediately locking on the twins and their father. "Mr. Marcus James?" she called out. "I'm Denise Williams from Child Protective Services. I need to speak with you about your children immediately." Marcus froze as the woman approached with her official-looking badge. His sons moved closer to him, sensing his fear. "I'm Denise Williams from Child Protective Services," she repeated, her voice stern but not unkind. "We received a report about your children being in an inappropriate workplace situation." "I can explain," Marcus said, his voice shaking slightly. "I had no idea they were in a meeting. They were supposed to be in the break room." Hassan stepped forward. "This is a misunderstanding. I invited the children into the meeting without their father's knowledge." Denise made notes on her tablet. "And you are?" "Hassan Al-Farsi. I'm the CEO of Bright Star Investments." Before the conversation could continue, Benjamin rushed out of the boardroom, his face excited. "Marcus, do you have any idea what your sons just did? They're internet stars. The video already has 30,000 views and climbing." "Video? What video?" Marcus looked confused and increasingly alarmed. Benjamin held up his phone to show Marcus the live stream. "Your boys just saved a $500 million deal with their amazing language skills. They're trending on Twitter already." Marcus stared at the screen in disbelief. There were his sons, translating complex business terms in multiple languages. The comment section was filled with amazement and praise. "You recorded my children without my permission?" Marcus's voice was quiet but tense. Hassan had the decency to look uncomfortable. "It was a last-minute decision. Benjamin suggested it would be good publicity." "Ms. Williams," Marcus turned to the CPS officer, "I always make sure my boys are safe. I'm a single father with no family to help during school breaks. I bring them here because I have no other options." "I need to discuss this situation with you privately," Denise replied. "The report indicated your children were being exploited for business purposes." Victoria Reeves appeared in the hallway. "I made that report," she stated firmly. "These children were brought into a confidential business meeting and put to work without parental consent or proper supervision." The twins looked at each other nervously. Elijah spoke up. "Ma'am, our dad didn't do anything wrong. We were just helping with languages. We like doing that." Denise smiled at him, "I understand. But there are laws to protect children." Hassan surprised everyone by putting his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Perhaps we should continue this discussion in my office. The children can wait in the break room with one of our staff members." In Hassan's spacious office, Marcus sat stiffly across from Denise Williams while Hassan and Victoria stood nearby. "Mr. James," Denise began, "I understand your childcare challenges, but bringing children to an adult workplace regularly raises concerns about their welfare and education." "My sons are top students," Marcus defended. "They bring their schoolwork here, they're quiet and well-behaved. I check on them regularly. The issue today is that they were put in an adult business situation without your knowledge or consent," Denise continued. Hassan stepped forward. "I take full responsibility for that decision. It was inappropriate of me to involve the children without speaking to their father first." Victoria frowned. "It's still a violation of company policy to have unauthorized minors in the building regularly." A knock at the door interrupted them. Benjamin entered, barely containing his excitement. "Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. News outlets are picking up the story. Brilliant janitor's kids save international business deal. It's everywhere." He turned his tablet around to show them a local news website with a screenshot of the twins from the live stream. Marcus put his head in his hands. "This is exactly what I didn't want. My boys aren't a spectacle." Denise made more notes. "How do your sons know so many languages, Mr. James?" Marcus looked up. Their grandmother, my mother-in-law, was Dr. Amelia James from Columbia University. She was a linguistics professor who spoke 9 languages. After my wife got sick, the boys spent a lot of time with her. She taught them as a way to keep their minds occupied during a difficult time. "And where is their grandmother now?" Denise asked. "She passed away 2 years ago," Marcus said quietly. "Learning languages is how the boys stay connected to her memory." The door opened again and Mr. Zhang entered with the other international investors. "Excuse the interruption," Mr. Zhang said politely. We wish to meet the father of these remarkable children before we leave." Marcus stood up, automatically straightening his janitor's uniform. "I'm Marcus James, sir." Mr. Zhang bowed slightly. "Your sons are exceptional. They not only speak perfect Mandarin but understand complex business concepts. They prevented a serious contract error today." "I didn't know they understood business terms," Marcus admitted. "They read a lot of their grandmother's books." Madame Belmont smiled. "They told us you were once a pre-law student. Perhaps they inherited your aptitude as well." Hassan looked surprised. "You studied law?" Marcus nodded reluctantly. "For 2 years at New York University. I had to drop out when my wife became pregnant with the twins. We couldn't afford the tuition and needed the income." The room fell silent. Hassan seemed to be seeing Marcus clearly for the first time. Denise Williams cleared her throat. "I still need to complete my assessment of this situation. Mr. James, I'll need to visit your home and interview your sons privately." "Will you take them away?" Marcus asked, his voice breaking slightly. "That's not my goal," Denise assured him. "I want to ensure they're in a safe, appropriate environment, but bringing children to work regularly does raise concerns." Another knock at the door. An assistant entered. "Mr. Al-Farsi, there's a doctor. Lydia Montgomery here to see you. She says it's regarding the James children. She's very insistent." "Dr. Montgomery? From the Wellington Institute?" Hassan looked surprised. The assistant nodded. "She says she saw the live stream and came immediately." Hassan turned to Marcus. "The Wellington Institute is the most prestigious school for gifted children in New York. Would you be comfortable meeting with her?" Marcus looked overwhelmed. "I suppose so." Dr. Lydia Montgomery was a tall woman with silver-streaked hair and intelligent eyes behind stylish glasses. She entered the room with confident steps. "Mr. Al-Farsi, thank you for seeing me on such short notice," she said, shaking Hassan's hand. Then she turned to Marcus. "Mr. James, I'm Dr. Montgomery, director of the Wellington Institute. I watched your son's remarkable performance online and came straight here. Children with their level of linguistic ability are extraordinarily rare." "They're good kids," Marcus said simply. "They work hard." "They're exceptional," Dr. Montgomery corrected. "I'd like to offer them placement at Wellington for assessment and potentially full enrollment, with scholarships, of course." Marcus blinked in surprise. "Wellington? Isn't that where senators and CEOs send their children?" "Yes," Dr. Montgomery smiled. "But our mission is to nurture extraordinary talent wherever we find it." Denise Williams was making more notes. "This could address some of my concerns about appropriate educational stimulation." Victoria looked skeptical. "This is all happening very quickly." "Extraordinary circumstances call for quick action," Dr. Montgomery replied. "These children demonstrated abilities that most adults never achieve. They should be in an environment that can nurture those gifts." Hassan had been watching Marcus carefully. "What do you think, Marcus?" "This could be an amazing opportunity for your sons." Before Marcus could answer, the twins themselves appeared at the door with one of the assistants who had been watching them. "Dad?" Isaiah called. "Are you okay? Are we in trouble?" Marcus opened his arms and both boys rushed to him. "No, you're not in trouble. Everyone is just very impressed with what you did today." Elijah looked up at the group of adults. "We were just doing what Grandma taught us. She said languages build bridges between people." Dr. Montgomery smiled warmly at them. "Your grandmother was right. And I'd like to talk to you and your father about building a bridge to a new school where you could learn even more languages." "A new school?" Isaiah asked, looking uncertain. "The Wellington Institute," Dr. Montgomery explained. "It's a place for children with special talents like yours." The twins looked at each other, then at their father. "Would we still live with Dad?" Elijah asked. "Of course," Dr. Montgomery assured them. "We're not a boarding school." Marcus hugged his sons tighter. "This is all happening very fast." Denise Williams stepped forward. "Mr. James, I still need to complete my assessment. Perhaps we can schedule a home visit for tomorrow? The twins looked alarmed. Why does she need to visit our home? Isaiah whispered. It's standard procedure, Denise explained gently. I need to make sure you have a safe, suitable living environment. Hassan surprised everyone by speaking up. Marcus, I owe you and your sons an apology. I've treated you unfairly, and today I involved your children without permission. I'd like to make it right. Marcus looked at him warily. How? First, by addressing the child care issue that brought your sons here in the first place. Bright Star should have better support for employees with families, Hassan said. And second, by supporting whatever educational opportunities would benefit your sons. Mr. Zhang nodded approvingly. Very wise, Mr. Al-Farsi. I would be interested in discussing how our companies might collaborate on such initiatives. As the adults continued talking, the twins whispered to each other, their eyes moving from their father to the CPS officer to Dr. Montgomery. Their world was changing rapidly around them, and they weren't sure if it was for better or worse. The twins continued whispering to each other as the adults debated their future. Isaiah clutched his brother's arm nervously. What if they separate us from Dad? He whispered. Elijah shook his head. They won't. Dad won't let that happen. Marcus overheard and pulled his sons closer. Nobody is separating our family, he said firmly, though his eyes betrayed his worry. Denise Williams gestured toward a smaller conference room. Mr. James, perhaps we should continue our discussion privately. Marcus nodded. Boys, can you wait with Dr. Montgomery for a few minutes? The twins reluctantly let go of their father. Dr. Montgomery smiled at them reassuringly. I'd love to hear about your language studies, she said. Perhaps you could tell me which language you enjoyed learning most. As Dr. Montgomery led the twins to a seating area, Marcus followed Denise into the conference room. Hassan hesitated, then joined them. Victoria also entered, carrying a folder of company policies. Inside the conference room, Denise placed her tablet on the table. Mr. James, I need to understand your childcare arrangements. How often do you bring your sons to work? Only during school breaks when I have no other options, Marcus explained. 3 or 4 weeks a year total. And where do they stay during your shifts? In the break room. They do homework, read books. I check on them regularly. Victoria opened her folder. Our policy clearly states that no unauthorized persons, especially minors, are permitted on company property during business hours. It's a liability issue. I understand, Marcus said quietly, but I have no family to help. After my wife died, it's just been me and the boys. Childcare during odd hours costs more than I make. Denise made notes. You work 2 jobs? Marcus nodded. Daytime maintenance at Hamilton Academy where the boys go to school, then night shifts here. I sleep about 4 hours most days. That's concerning, Denise said. Sleep deprivation affects parenting capacity. I'm managing, Marcus insisted. My sons are well cared for. They're top students. They never miss school. They're healthy. But unsupervised for long periods, Victoria pointed out. They're not unsupervised, Marcus countered. They're either at school with me or in the break room where security can see them on cameras. Hassan leaned forward. Victoria, I think we need to consider the circumstances here. Rules exist for reasons, Victoria replied firmly. We can't make exceptions based on emotional factors. Outside in the hallway, Mr. Zhang approached Dr. Montgomery and the twins. Young men, he said with a small bow, I wanted to thank you again before I leave. Your skills today were remarkable. Elijah smiled shyly. Thank you, sir. May I ask, Mr. Zhang continued, how do you feel about your father bringing you to his workplace? The twins exchanged glances. Isaiah spoke first. We like coming here. Dad lets us bring lots of books. And he checks on us all the time, Elijah added. We're never scared or alone. Mr. Zhang nodded thoughtfully. In my country, family sacrifices for education are highly respected. Your father works very hard for you. We know, the twins said together. Back in the conference room, the discussion was growing tense. Ms. Williams, Hassan said, What exactly happens next in your process? Denise looked at her notes. I need to conduct a home visit, interview the children separately, and review their school records. Then I'll make a recommendation. What kind of recommendation? Marcus asked, his voice tight with fear. Denise hesitated. It could range from simple monitoring to temporary placement in foster care while… Foster care? Marcus stood up, his chair scraping loudly. You want to take my sons away because I'm working too hard to support them? Please sit down, Mr. James, Denise said calmly. That's a worst-case scenario, not my goal. But I have concerns about their supervision and whether bringing them to an adult workplace regularly is appropriate. Dr. Montgomery knocked and entered the room. I hope I'm not interrupting, but I have a possible solution that might address some concerns. She sat down beside Marcus. The Wellington Institute has an extensive after-school program until 7 in the evening. We also offer supervision during school breaks as part of our enrichment activities. If the boys were enrolled with us, this childcare issue would be resolved. Victoria frowned. That still doesn't address company policy violations that have already occurred. No, Hassan said slowly, but it addresses the future. He seemed to be thinking deeply, his expression troubled. Mr. Zhang appeared at the doorway. Excuse me. My colleagues and I must leave for the airport soon, but I wanted to speak with you all first. Hassan invited him in. The Chinese businessman looked around the room, his expression serious. In business, we learn much about people in difficult moments, Mr. Zhang said. Today I came to evaluate an investment opportunity. I found something more valuable: integrity. He turned to Marcus. Your sons show extraordinary talent, which reflects their upbringing. A father working 2 jobs, sacrificing sleep to provide for his children. This is honorable. Marcus looked down, uncomfortable with the praise. Mr. Zhang continued, turning to Hassan. How a company treats its employees reveals its true values. This situation offers you a choice about what kind of leader you wish to be. Victoria cleared her throat. With all due respect, Mr. Zhang, company policies exist to protect everyone. Yes, Mr. Zhang agreed, but who decides these policies, and can they not be improved? He bowed slightly to everyone. I look forward to our partnership, Mr. Al-Farsi. Our final decision will be influenced by how this situation resolves. After Mr. Zhang left, the room fell silent. Denise Williams reviewed her notes while Marcus stared at his hands. Victoria organized her policy documents, and Dr. Montgomery waited patiently. Hassan stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the Manhattan skyline. The tension in the room grew with each passing second. Finally, he turned around. Victoria, what is the purpose of our company policies? Victoria looked surprised by the question. To protect the company from liability and ensure a professional work environment. And is there any policy that prevents us from opening a childcare center for employees? Victoria blinked. No, but the cost and space requirements would be… I didn't ask about costs, Hassan interrupted. Marcus, how many other employees at Bright Star have childcare challenges? Marcus thought for a moment. Several on the night cleaning crew are single parents. Some of the security team too, maybe 20 people total who work non-traditional hours. Hassan nodded. Ms. Williams, would an on-site childcare center with proper supervision address your concerns about the twins? If properly licensed and staffed, yes, Denise answered. Hassan turned to Victoria. Prepare a proposal for converting the unused space on the 3rd floor into a childcare center for employees working non-traditional hours. Victoria's mouth fell open. Sir, that would cost… I don't care what it costs, Hassan said firmly. And Marcus, effective immediately, you're no longer a janitor at Bright Star. Marcus's face fell. You're firing me? No. Hassan smiled slightly. I'm promoting you. You'll oversee the development of our new employee resource program, including the childcare center. The room fell silent again. Marcus looked stunned. Hassan continued, his voice softer now. I owe you an apology, Marcus. The truth is, I brought your sons into that meeting to embarrass them. I thought it would amuse the investors while we waited for the translator." He paused, looking genuinely ashamed. "I never expected them to be brilliant, and I never considered that their father might be equally capable. I judged you by your uniform, not your character or abilities." Marcus didn't know what to say. Dr. Montgomery smiled encouragingly at him. Hassan turned to face everyone. "What none of you know is that I was once judged the same way." He sat down heavily in his chair. "When I first came to America, I had money from my family, but no connections. People saw my accent, my name, my background, and decided I didn't belong in their boardrooms. I promised myself I would succeed despite them. But somewhere along the way, I became what I hated, someone who judges others without knowing their story." Victoria looked uncomfortable. Denise was taking notes again. Marcus watched Hassan with new understanding. "Today," Hassan continued, "I'm announcing 2 changes at Bright Star. First, we're creating a childcare center for employees who work non-traditional hours. Second, we're establishing an educational support program for employees and their families." He looked directly at Marcus. "And I want you to lead both initiatives because you understand the needs better than anyone." Marcus finally found his voice. "Mr. Al-Farsi, I appreciate the offer, but I don't have the qualifications for a position like that. You have 2 years of pre-law education, 15 years of work experience, and you've raised 2 extraordinary children alone under difficult circumstances," Hassan replied. "I'd say you're uniquely qualified." Denise Williams closed her tablet case. "These changes would address my immediate concerns, Mr. James. I'll still need to conduct a home visit, but this development is certainly positive." Dr. Montgomery smiled broadly. "And the Wellington Institute is still very interested in having your sons join us, Marcus. With full scholarships, of course." Marcus looked overwhelmed. Just hours ago, he had been a janitor worried about keeping his family together. Now everything was changing. "Dad?" The twins appeared at the doorway, their faces concerned. "Are you okay?" Marcus opened his arms to his sons. As they rushed to him, he finally smiled. "Yes, I think we're going to be okay." Marcus held his sons close, still processing the sudden changes to their lives. The twins looked up at him with questioning eyes. "What's happening, Dad?" Elijah asked quietly. Before Marcus could answer, Hassan stood up. "Boys, I was just telling your father about some changes at Bright Star. But first, I owe you both an apology." The twins looked at Hassan with surprise. "I brought you into that meeting today for the wrong reasons," Hassan continued. "I thought it would be funny to put you on the spot. I never expected you to be so talented. I'm sorry for not treating you with respect." Isaiah glanced at Elijah, then back to Hassan. "It's okay, Mr. Al-Farsi. We're used to people not expecting much from us." Hassan winced at those words. That's exactly the problem. Too many people judge others without knowing their true abilities. He turned to face everyone in the room, including me. Marcus gently guided his sons to sit beside him. "Mr. Al-Farsi is offering me a new job here, and Dr. Montgomery wants you both to attend her school." "A new school?" Elijah looked worried. "But what about our friends at Hamilton?" Dr. Montgomery smiled kindly. "The Wellington Institute is a special school for children with extraordinary talents. We have advanced language programs that could help you develop your abilities even further." "Would we have to pay?" Marcus asked, concern in his voice. "Not at all, Doctor," Montgomery assured him. "We're offering full scholarships. Your son's abilities are remarkable, Mr. James. They deserve an environment that can nurture those gifts." Denise Williams, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. "This could resolve many of my concerns about appropriate supervision and educational opportunities." Victoria remained skeptical. "These changes seem very sudden and emotional. The board might question such significant policy shifts without proper analysis." Hassan turned to her. Then I'll explain it to them. Let me be clear about something, Victoria. Today changed how I see Brightstar and my role as its leader." He walked to the center of the room, his expression serious. "What none of you know is that I understand Marcus's situation better than you might think." The room fell silent as Hassan began his story. "When I came to America 20 years ago, I was a teenager with money from my family but no connections. People saw my name, heard my accent, and decided I didn't belong in their boardrooms or their schools." Hassan's voice grew quieter. "I was the janitor's son, cleaning offices with my father after school to learn the value of hard work, while also attending classes. The other students at my private school never knew. They thought I was just another rich foreign kid." Marcus looked surprised. The twins listened intently. "One day, a business executive caught me cleaning his office after hours. He laughed and said I'd better do a good job because cleaning was probably the only skill I'd ever need in America." Hassan's eyes hardened at the memory. "I promised myself that day that I would build something no one could dismiss." He looked directly at Marcus. "Somewhere along the way I became what I once hated, someone who judges others without seeing their true value. I've treated you as invisible, Marcus. I've walked past you hundreds of times without really seeing you." Victoria shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "Today," Hassan continued, "I'm making 2 immediate changes at Brightstar. First, we're creating a childcare center for employees working non-traditional hours. Second, we're establishing an educational support program for employees and their families." He turned to Marcus. "And I want you to lead both initiatives with the title of Director of Employee Resources. Your salary will be appropriate for an executive position." Marcus looked stunned. "Mr. Al-Farsi, I appreciate your offer, but I don't have the qualifications for that kind of position." "You have life experience that's more valuable than any degree," Hassan replied. "You understand the challenges our employees face. You know what works and what doesn't because you've lived it." Denise made some notes on her tablet. "These changes would address my immediate concerns about childcare. I'll still need to conduct a home visit and complete my report, but this is a positive development." Victoria opened her folder again. "Sir, I should point out that creating these programs will require significant resources. The board will want a detailed cost analysis and implementation plan." "Then we'll provide one," Hassan said firmly. "Benjamin can help with the presentation materials." A knock at the door interrupted them. Mr. Zhang had returned. "Forgive my intrusion," he said, "but I wanted to speak with you before leaving for the airport." Hassan welcomed him back into the room. Mr. Zhang smiled at the twins before addressing the group. "I've been discussing the investment with my colleagues," he began. "We are not only proceeding with our original amount, but increasing it by $100 million. Hassan looked surprised. "That's very generous, Mr. Zhang. May I ask what led to this decision?" Mr. Zhang nodded. "When we evaluate potential partners, we look beyond financial projections. We seek companies with vision and values." He glanced at Marcus and his sons. "What I witnessed today revealed the true character of Brightstar." He turned to Marcus. "My own father was a janitor, Mr. James. He cleaned university buildings in Beijing for 30 years so I could attend school. People ignored him, just as they ignored his intelligence and dignity." The room was completely silent now. "When I saw how your sons were treated initially, I was concerned," Mr. Zhang continued. "But watching how this situation has transformed into opportunity, this shows a company capable of growth and wisdom." He bowed slightly to Hassan. "The additional investment will be designated for your employee support initiatives, if acceptable." Hassan extended his hand. "More than acceptable. Thank you, Mr. Zhang." After Mr. Zhang left, the room remained quiet for a moment. Then Isaiah spoke up. "Dad, would we have to leave our apartment if you take the new job?" Marcus put his arm around his son. "I don't know yet, buddy. We'd have to see what we can afford closer to your new school." "But we like our apartment," Elijah said. All our memories of Mom are there." Marcus looked pained. Dr. Montgomery leaned forward. "The Wellington Institute is on the Upper East Side," she explained gently. "Many of our students commute from various neighborhoods. You wouldn't necessarily need to move right away." "But the commute would be difficult," Marcus said, thinking aloud. "An hour each way, at least." Denise Williams closed her tablet case. "Mr. James, I'll need to see your current living situation tomorrow as planned. After that, we can discuss next steps." Marcus nodded, still looking overwhelmed. "This is all happening so fast." "Too fast?" Hassan asked. "We can take more time to work out the details if you need it." Marcus looked at his sons, then back at Hassan. "My boys have never had enough opportunities. I've worked 2 jobs since they were born just to keep them in a decent school and a safe apartment. If I say no to these opportunities because I'm scared or proud—" He didn't finish the sentence, but everyone understood. Victoria cleared her throat. "If I may make a suggestion, perhaps Mr. James could begin transitioning to his new role gradually. He could split his time between his current position and learning the requirements of the new one." Hassan looked surprised at Victoria's constructive approach. "That's an excellent idea." "I could help develop a training schedule," Victoria added, her voice professional but less cold, "and assist with the board presentation for the new initiatives." Marcus looked at Victoria with new respect. "Thank you. That would be helpful." Dr. Montgomery stood up. "As for the Wellington Institute, we could arrange for the boys to visit the campus tomorrow. See the classrooms, meet some teachers and students. There's no need to make an immediate decision." The twins perked up at this suggestion. "Could we see the language lab you mentioned?" Elijah asked. "Of course," Dr. Montgomery smiled. "It's quite impressive. We have native speakers from 20 countries who work with our students." Hassan checked his watch. "It's getting late. Marcus, why don't you take the rest of the day off to be with your sons? Tomorrow we can begin planning the transition." Marcus nodded, still looking slightly dazed. "Thank you. I need some time to process all of this." As everyone prepared to leave, Hassan approached Marcus privately. "I meant what I said earlier," Hassan told him quietly. "I've been wrong about many things, including you. I hope you'll give me the chance to make it right." Marcus looked at the man who had walked past him countless times without acknowledgement. "Everyone deserves a second chance," Marcus said simply. "My wife taught me that." As Marcus gathered his sons to leave, Denise reminded him about tomorrow's home visit. "I'll be there at 10 in the morning," she said. "Try not to worry too much, Mr. James. I'm not looking for perfection, just a safe, stable environment." Marcus nodded, taking each of his sons by the hand as they walked toward the elevator. The twins kept looking back at Hassan and Dr. Montgomery, their expressions a mixture of excitement and uncertainty. Victoria watched them go, then turned to Hassan. "Sir, we have a lot of work to do if we're going to present these changes to the board effectively." "Yes," Hassan agreed, "and we need to start immediately. The child care center should be operational within 3 months." 3 months? Victoria looked shocked. "That's impossible." Hassan smiled slightly. "I built this company from nothing in less time than that. Besides, we have a new motivation now." "What's that?" Victoria asked. Hassan watched the elevator doors close on Marcus and his sons, proving that people are worth more than the jobs they hold. 2 weeks had passed since that life-changing day. Hassan stood in the lobby of Bright Star Investments, watching as Marcus James walked through the front entrance. Instead of the gray janitor uniform, Marcus wore a new navy blue suit that still looked slightly stiff on his tall frame. Several employees greeted him warmly as he passed. "Good morning, Mr. James," Hassan said, extending his hand. Marcus looked surprised. "Good morning, Mr. Al-Farsi." "Please call me Hassan, we're colleagues now." He gestured toward the elevator. "Let me show you to your office." As they rode up to the 28th floor, Marcus stared at his reflection in the polished elevator doors. His hair was neatly trimmed, his tie perfectly straight. He barely recognized himself. "How are the boys enjoying Wellington Institute?" Hassan asked. "They like the language programs," Marcus replied. "The transition has been challenging in other ways." Hassan nodded. "That's understandable. New environments take time to adjust to." The elevator doors opened to reveal a busy executive floor. People moved quickly between offices carrying files and coffee cups. Several stopped to stare as Hassan led Marcus down the hallway. "Here we are," Hassan said, stopping at a door with a new nameplate. "Marcus James, Director of Employee Resources." Marcus hesitated before entering. The office was small but bright, with a window overlooking the city. A desk, computer, and several chairs filled the space that had clearly been converted recently. "This was a storage closet last week," Marcus observed quietly. Hassan looked slightly embarrassed. "Yes, we're tight on office space. We'll find something more suitable soon." "No, this is fine," Marcus said quickly. It's all still hard to believe." A knock at the door interrupted them. Victoria Reeves stood in the doorway holding a stack of folders. "Mr. James," she said formally, "these are the company policy documents you'll need to review. I've highlighted the sections relevant to your new position." Her tone was professional but cold. Marcus accepted the folders with a nod. "Thank you, Ms. Reeves. I appreciate your help with the transition." Victoria gave a tight smile. "I've scheduled a meeting for 3 o'clock to discuss the child care center plans. The architects will present their initial designs." After she left, Hassan sighed. "Victoria will come around eventually. She's excellent at her job, just resistant to change." "I understand," Marcus said. "This is a big adjustment for everyone, not just me." Meanwhile, at Wellington Institute, the twins sat in advanced language class. The classroom was bright and modern, with interactive screens and comfortable seating. Only 10 students were present, all dressed in Wellington's dark green uniforms. Dr. Montgomery stood at the front speaking rapid French. "Elijah, how would you respond to this situation in Paris?" Elijah answered fluently, describing how he would navigate a business negotiation in French culture. The other students watched with a mixture of admiration and wariness. When the lunch bell rang, the students gathered their belongings. Isaiah touched his brother's arm. "Where should we sit?" he whispered. Elijah looked at the cafeteria. Groups of students were already forming at different tables. No one invited them to join. "Let's sit by the window," Elijah suggested. As they settled with their lunch trays, a tall boy with perfectly styled hair approached. 3 other students followed him. "You're the janitor's kids, right?" the boy asked. "The ones from the video?" Isaiah stiffened. "Our dad's not a janitor anymore. He's a director at Bright Star Investments." The boy laughed. "Right. My father says they just gave him that job because of publicity. He says your dad probably doesn't even know what to do in a real office." Elijah put his hand on Isaiah's arm to keep him calm. "Your father doesn't know our dad," he said simply. "Whatever," the boy shrugged. "Just don't expect special treatment here. My family has donated millions to Wellington. We've been attending for generations." After the boy walked away, Isaiah pushed his food around his plate. "I miss our old school." "Me too," Elijah admitted. "But the language lab here is amazing. And remember what Dad said, this is an opportunity we can't pass up." Back at Bright Star, Marcus sat in a conference room with the architects designing the child care center. Large blueprints covered the table. "The space on the 3rd floor needs significant modifications," the lead architect explained. "We'll need to add child-sized bathrooms, proper ventilation, and safety features." Marcus studied the plans carefully. "The entrance should be wider to accommodate strollers, and we need a separate space for older children, like my sons." Victoria made notes. "That will increase the budget." "It's necessary," Marcus insisted. "Different age groups have different needs." To his surprise, Victoria nodded. "I'll update the cost projections." Later that afternoon, Hassan presented the finalized international investment deal to the board of directors. 12 men and women in expensive suits sat around a long table reviewing documents. The deal is now worth $600 million, Hassan announced. 100 million more than our original projection. An older board member frowned. That's excellent news, but I'm concerned about these new expenses. A child care center? Educational programs? These weren't in our annual budget. Hassan remained calm. The additional investment from Zhang Industries is designated specifically for these initiatives. Mr. Zhang was impressed by our commitment to employee support. Still, another board member interjected, promoting a janitor to director level seems excessive. No offense, Hassan, but does he have the qualifications for such a position? Hassan's expression hardened slightly. Marcus James has already identified 3 critical improvements to our employee benefits program that will actually save us money. His perspective is exactly what we needed. As the meeting continued, Marcus returned to his office to find a gray janitor's uniform draped over his chair. No note, no explanation, just the uniform he had worn for 5 years, laid out as a clear message. He was hanging it in his closet when his phone rang. It was Dr. Montgomery. Mr. James, I wanted to update you on the boys' first 2 weeks. Academically, they're performing beyond our expectations. Socially, they're facing some challenges. Marcus sighed. They mentioned some issues with other students. Well, unfortunately, some of our families can be rather status conscious, Dr. Montgomery said carefully. I've addressed specific incidents, but I wanted you to be aware. Thank you for telling me, Marcus replied. I'll talk with them tonight. After hanging up, Marcus stared at the janitor uniform now hidden in his closet. Part of him wondered if he had made a mistake accepting this new position. Maybe they didn't belong in this world of expensive schools and executive offices. A knock interrupted his thoughts. Benjamin Carter, the marketing director, entered with an excited expression. Marcus, have you seen the latest news? Brightstar's stock is up 12% since the international deal was announced. He placed a tablet on Marcus's desk showing financial charts and headlines. Your sons are still trending on social media. People love this story. Marcus frowned. My sons aren't a story, Benjamin. They're kids trying to adjust to a new school where some students mock them for being the janitor's kids. Benjamin's smile faded. I'm sorry to hear that, but you should know that what's happening here at Brightstar is making a real difference. 3 competing firms have approached our top talent with offers, but everyone declined to leave. Why? Marcus asked. Because of the changes Hassan is making, the changes you're helping implement. People want to work where they feel valued. Later that evening, Marcus and the twins sat in their small Queens apartment eating dinner. The boys talked excitedly about the Wellington Language Lab but fell silent when Marcus asked about friends. Is something wrong at school? Marcus asked gently. The twins exchanged glances. Finally, Elijah spoke. Some kids say we don't belong there, that we only got in because of the video. Marcus put down his fork. Do you believe that? Both boys shook their heads. Doctor, Montgomery showed us our test scores, Isaiah said. We got the highest marks in language aptitude they've ever recorded. Then that's all that matters, Marcus assured them. A knock at the door surprised them. Marcus opened it to find Mr. Zhang standing in the hallway, accompanied by a young assistant. Mr. James, the Chinese businessman said with a small bow, I apologize for coming without calling first. I have returned to New York and wish to speak with you and your sons. Marcus invited him in, suddenly conscious of their modest apartment. Mr. Zhang didn't seem to notice the small space or simple furniture. He greeted the twins warmly in Mandarin, which they answered with perfect pronunciation. I have a proposal I wanted to discuss in person, Mr. Zhang explained once they were seated. My company wishes to create an international exchange program for gifted children from underprivileged backgrounds. He smiled at the twins. "We would like Elijah and Isaiah to be our first youth ambassadors. They would travel to Shanghai during summer break to help launch the program." The twins' eyes widened with excitement. "It's a generous offer," Marcus said carefully, "but we're still adjusting to all the recent changes." Mr. Zhang nodded understandingly. "Of course, the program would not begin until summer. There is time to consider." After Mr. Zhang left, the twins could barely contain their excitement. "Shanghai, Dad!" Elijah exclaimed. "We could practice Chinese with actual Chinese people." "And help other kids like us," Isaiah added. Marcus smiled at their enthusiasm. Despite the challenges of the past 2 weeks, the uncomfortable stares, Victoria's cold efficiency, the janitor's uniform left on his chair, seeing his sons excited about new possibilities made everything worthwhile. His phone buzzed with a text message from Hassan. "Board meeting went well. Childcare center approved. You're making a difference already." Marcus looked around their small apartment at his sons still chattering about Shanghai, at his new suit hanging on the closet door. Everything was changing so quickly. He just hoped he was ready for whatever came next. 3 months had passed since that evening in the small Queen's apartment. The changes in Marcus's life continued at a rapid pace. The childcare center on the 3rd floor of Bright Star Investments was nearly complete, with a grand opening planned in just 2 weeks. Marcus stood in the bright space, watching workers install colorful furniture and safety equipment. "The separate area for older children looks perfect," he told the construction manager. "Just make sure the computer stations have the educational software we selected." Victoria Reeves appeared at his side, clipboard in hand. "Mr. James, we need to discuss the staffing schedules. I've interviewed 15 candidates for the childcare positions." Her tone remained formal, but Marcus had noticed a slight softening in her attitude over the past months. She respected competence, and Marcus had proven himself surprisingly capable in his new role. "Let's review them in my office," Marcus suggested. His office was no longer the converted storage closet. He now occupied a proper space with large windows and a conference table. Pictures of his sons and late wife sat on his desk. As they walked, Victoria mentioned casually, "The quarterly board meeting is in 3 days. Several members have expressed concerns about the costs of your initiatives." Marcus nodded. "I know. I've been preparing the presentation to address those concerns." "It may be more serious than you realize," Victoria said, lowering her voice. "Leonard Dixon from Finance has been gathering support against these projects. He believes Hassan is making emotional decisions rather than business ones." "Thanks for the warning," Marcus replied, surprised by Victoria's helpfulness. Meanwhile, at Wellington Institute, the twins sat in the school library during lunch period. They had quickly learned that the cafeteria meant facing uncomfortable stares and whispered comments. "Look at this," Elijah said, showing his brother information about Shanghai on a tablet. "Mr. Zhang sent details about our summer trip. We'll be staying near the Bund district." Isaiah nodded excitedly, but his smile faded as he noticed a group of students entering the library. One of them, a girl named Olivia Parker, was handing out pink envelopes. "Birthday invitations," Elijah whispered. "Olivia's parents own half of Manhattan, according to the other kids." The twins pretended to focus on their tablets as Olivia approached their table. She placed invitations in front of other nearby students but walked past the twins without a word. Later that afternoon, in Dr. Montgomery's office, Isaiah couldn't hide his hurt feelings. "Everyone got invited except us," he explained. "Olivia's mom told her not to include the scholarship kids." Dr. Montgomery's expression darkened. "That is completely unacceptable. I'll speak with Mrs. Parker immediately." "Please don't," Elijah said quickly. "It will only make things worse." Dr. Montgomery sighed. "Boys, you've shown remarkable resilience since coming to Wellington. Your academic performance is outstanding. Your language skills continue to impress every teacher, but social integration matters too." "We're fine. Isaiah insisted. "We have each other." Back at Bright Star, Marcus led a focus group with night shift employees about their child care needs. 10 workers sat around a conference table, speaking openly about their challenges. "My daughter is 7, said Maria, a cleaning supervisor. "During school breaks, I have to pay my neighbor extra to watch her overnight. It costs more than I make some weeks." "My son has special needs," added Derek from security. "Finding qualified caregivers for irregular hours is nearly impossible." Marcus took careful notes. "The child care center will be open whenever the building is, including nights and weekends. We're hiring staff with special needs training too." The employees exchanged hopeful glances. One older woman wiped away tears. "Nobody has ever asked us what we needed before," she said softly. As the employees filed out, Marcus noticed a small recording device under the table. He picked it up, frowning. That evening, Hassan called Marcus into his office. The CEO looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes. "Our stock dropped 6% today," Hassan said without preamble. "The financial reports show higher quarterly expenses than projected." "That's expected with the new initiatives," Marcus replied. "The child care center required significant investment up front, but the long-term benefits—" "I know," Hassan interrupted, "but the board is concerned. Leonard Dixon has requested a special presentation about the financial impact of these programs." Marcus sat down across from Hassan. "Victoria mentioned that Dixon is gathering support against us." "Against me," Hassan corrected. "They think I've lost objectivity, that I'm making decisions based on guilt or publicity rather than sound business judgment." "That's not true," Marcus said firmly. Hassan looked out the window at the darkening sky. "Isn't it? 3 months ago I barely acknowledged your existence. Now I've promoted you to director level and approved millions in new programs." "Because they're the right things to do," Marcus insisted. "Not just morally, but financially. Employee retention has already improved. The recruitment team says applications have increased 30% since the announcement of the child care center." Hassan nodded slowly. "The board meeting will be the real test. Dixon will come prepared to challenge everything." The next day, Marcus discovered his old janitor uniform had been returned to his office closet, this time with a note, "Don't forget where you came from." Instead of being angry, Marcus hung the uniform prominently on a hook near his desk. When Victoria came in for their scheduled meeting, she noticed it immediately. "Interesting decoration," she commented. "A reminder," Marcus replied, "of perspectives I bring that others might not have." Victoria's expression softened slightly. "Dixon recorded your focus group yesterday. He plans to use selected comments to argue that employees were satisfied with the previous arrangements." Marcus looked at her in surprise. "Why are you telling me this?" Victoria straightened some papers on his desk. "Contrary to what you might believe, Mr. James, I'm not opposed to these initiatives. I simply believe in proper procedures and careful planning." "And now?" "The plans are thorough. The implementation has been impressive." Victoria handed him a folder. "These are the testimonials from employees who've already benefited from the education support program. They might be useful for your presentation." That evening, Marcus arrived home late to find the twins waiting up for him. They sat at the kitchen table surrounded by papers and a laptop. "What's all this?" Marcus asked, putting down his briefcase. "We're helping you prepare for the board meeting," Elijah explained. "We made a presentation about the exchange program with Mr. Zhang." Isaiah clicked through slides on the laptop. "We can show how it connects to Bright Star's initiatives. Mr. Zhang told us his company will fund the entire first year of the child care center if the board approves continuing the programs." Marcus stared at his sons in amazement. "How did you know about the board meeting challenges?" "Dr. Montgomery told us," Elijah admitted. "She heard from Mr. Zhang, who heard from Hassan." "Everyone's talking about it, Dad," Isaiah added. "It's important." Marcus sat down with his sons, deeply touched by their effort. "You don't need to worry about this. It's my job to handle." "We're a family," Elijah said simply. "We help each other." The day before the board meeting, Marcus worked late into the night preparing his defense of the initiatives. The financial data showed short-term costs but long-term benefits. The employee testimonials were powerful. The twins' presentation about the exchange program was surprisingly professional. Yet doubt crept in as midnight approached. Marcus stared at spreadsheets until the numbers blurred. Was he really qualified for this role? Could a former janitor convince a room full of executives about complex financial projections? He must have fallen asleep at his desk because he woke to the sound of his office door opening. Hassan stood there looking equally tired. "You're still here," Hassan observed. Marcus straightened, wiping drool from his chin. "Just finishing the presentation." Hassan walked to the window. "I received a call from Leonard Dixon tonight. He offered to drop his opposition to the initiatives on one condition." "What condition?" Marcus asked. "That I replace you with someone with appropriate qualifications," Hassan replied, his voice tight with anger. "Apparently, having a former janitor as a director damages our corporate image." Marcus felt his stomach sink. "Maybe he's right. Maybe I'm not—" "Stop," Hassan interrupted. "When I built Brightstar, every established firm in New York told me I didn't belong in finance, that I should go back where I came from." He turned to face Marcus. "I didn't listen to them, and you shouldn't listen to Dixon." As dawn broke, Marcus straightened his tie in the small bathroom mirror, the same bathroom he had once cleaned every night. Today he would either secure his family's new future or watch it slip away. "Ready?" Hassan asked as they walked toward the boardroom. Marcus nodded, gripping his presentation materials. "As ready as I'll ever be." The boardroom was already filled with executive board members when Marcus and Hassan entered. 12 people in expensive suits sat around a long mahogany table. The tension in the air was thick. Leonard Dixon, a thin man with steel gray hair, sat at the far end, papers neatly arranged before him, his cold eyes fixed on Marcus. "Good morning, everyone," Hassan began, taking his seat at the head of the table. "Thank you for attending this special meeting to review our new initiatives." Victoria Reeves stood near a large screen ready to present financial data. Her face revealed nothing about whose side she was on. "Before we begin," Leonard Dixon said, his voice sharp, "I'd like to question the presence of Mr. James at this meeting. This is a board-level discussion about executive decisions." Hassan remained calm. "Marcus is the Director of Employee Resources and directly responsible for the programs we're discussing. His presence is not only appropriate but necessary." Dixon smiled thinly. "Of course, I simply wanted to clarify given his unusual background." Marcus took his seat, feeling the weight of every stare. He had practiced his presentation all night, but doubt still gnawed at him. Victoria began with a financial overview. "As you can see from these charts, our expenses have increased by 8.2% this quarter, primarily due to the child care center construction and new employee benefit programs." Dixon immediately jumped in. "That's nearly double our projected quarterly increase. Our stock has dropped 6% as a result." Several board members murmured with concern. Victoria continued professionally, showing the next slide. "However, employee retention has improved by 23%. Recruitment applications have increased by 30%. These are significant operational improvements." Dixon waved his hand dismissively. "Temporary effects from publicity. The real question is long-term financial impact." He turned to the other board members. Brightstar was built on smart financial decisions, not emotional reactions to viral videos. Hassan's jaw tightened, but he maintained his composure. "Marcus, would you like to present your data now?" Marcus stood, his hands slightly shaking as he connected his laptop to the screen. He took a deep breath. "Good morning," he began, his voice initially unsteady. 3 months ago, I was cleaning this room every night. Today, I'm presenting to you because circumstances revealed a gap in how Brightstar supports its employees." He clicked to the first slide showing employee testimonials. These are the voices you might not normally hear in this room. Night shift workers, maintenance staff, security personnel, people who keep this company running but are often invisible. Marcus played a short video of Maria, the cleaning supervisor. Since the education support program started, I've been able to take online classes. For the first time, I see a future beyond cleaning. My daughter sees it too. Dixon interrupted. These stories are touching, but emotions don't pay dividends. Actually, Marcus countered, finding his voice growing stronger. They do. This data shows decreased absenteeism since the programs began. This chart shows reduced turnover. Each percentage point of improved retention saves us approximately $50,000 in training and hiring costs. He continued with more financial projections, gaining confidence as he spoke. The board members began looking more interested, some taking notes. The childcare center will be operational in 2 weeks, Marcus explained. Based on employee surveys, we expect 47 children to enroll immediately. The center will operate 24 hours to support all shifts with proper staff-to-child ratios. Dixon leaned forward. And the cost? Nearly $2 million for construction, plus ongoing operational expenses. All for 47 children? 47 children of valuable employees who might otherwise leave for companies with better family support, Marcus responded. The return on investment? Speaking of investment, Dixon interrupted again. I've prepared an alternative proposal. He distributed folders to each board member. This outlines a more financially responsible approach. We scale back these initiatives by 80% and replace current leadership with individuals who have appropriate qualifications. The implication was clear. Dixon wanted Marcus removed. Hassan began to respond, but Victoria surprised everyone by speaking first. If I may address the board, she said, stepping forward. As head of security and compliance, my job is to protect this company. Initially, I shared Mr. Dixon's concerns about these initiatives. She displayed a new slide showing security metrics. However, the data cannot be ignored. Employee loyalty scores have increased by 34%. Security incidents have decreased by 20%. Employees who feel valued protect company interests more diligently. Dixon frowned. Victoria, we discussed this privately. Your position was quite different yesterday. Victoria met his gaze coolly. I follow the data, Mr. Dixon, not personal agendas. The tension in the room escalated as Dixon prepared to counter, but the boardroom door burst open. Benjamin Carter rushed in, looking excited and slightly out of breath. I apologize for interrupting, he said, but this can't wait. He handed Hassan a tablet. Brightstar has just been named Most Innovative Workplace Culture by Business Leadership magazine. They specifically cite our employee support initiatives. Hassan read the screen, his eyebrows rising. They're announcing it this morning. Benjamin nodded enthusiastically. There's more. 3 competing firms, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and JP Financial, approached our top talent with offers last week. All 15 employees declined to leave, specifically citing our new family-friendly policies. The board members began whispering among themselves. Dixon looked increasingly uncomfortable. This is valuable publicity, Benjamin continued. The kind that attracts both clients and talent. The marketing team estimates the positive exposure value at over $3 million. Hassan looked at Dixon. Still believe these initiatives are purely emotional decisions, Leonard? Before Dixon could respond, another knock came at the door. Dr. Montgomery entered, accompanied by Elijah and Isaiah in their Wellington uniforms. I apologize for the interruption, Doctor, Montgomery said. The young gentlemen were quite insistent that their presentation was scheduled for 9:30. Hassan checked his watch. Yes, you're right on time. Please come in. Marcus looked surprised. He hadn't expected the twins to actually attend the meeting. Elijah and Isaiah walked confidently to the front of the room. They connected a tablet to the screen and stood straight, looking professional despite their youth. "Good morning," Elijah began in perfect, clear English. "We're Elijah and Isaiah James. We're here to present information about the International Youth Exchange Program proposed by Zhang Industries." Isaiah continued, "This program will select gifted children from underprivileged backgrounds for educational exchange opportunities." He switched smoothly to Mandarin Chinese, then translated back to English. "We will be the first youth ambassadors traveling to Shanghai this summer." The twins moved through their presentation with remarkable poise, occasionally speaking in different languages to demonstrate the program's international focus. They explained how Zhang Industries would fund the entire program, including travel expenses and educational materials. "The benefit to Bright Star," Elijah explained, "is international recognition as a company that values education and opportunity regardless of background." Dixon watched with a sour expression but remained silent. Other board members appeared impressed. As the twins concluded, the large screen switched to a video call. Mr. Zhang's face appeared, smiling from his office in Shanghai. "Good morning, Bright Star board members," he greeted them. "I hope you enjoyed the presentation from our young ambassadors." Hassan stood. "Mr. Zhang, we didn't expect your participation today." "I wouldn't miss this important discussion," Mr. Zhang replied. "I understand there are concerns about the financial impact of these initiatives." Dixon straightened in his chair. "Yes, Mr. Zhang. As the board's financial officer, I must question the allocation of resources to programs with uncertain returns." Mr. Zhang nodded thoughtfully. "I respect financial prudence, Mr. Dixon. It is why Zhang Industries has thrived for 3 generations." His expression became more serious. "It is also why we have decided to cover all costs for both the exchange program and the first year of the childcare center's operation." Shocked murmurs spread around the table. "Our additional investment of $100 million will be specifically designated for these programs," Mr. Zhang continued. "We believe in Bright Star's vision of recognizing talent in unexpected places." Dixon's face had turned pale. The other board members looked at each other with newfound enthusiasm. "I believe it's time to vote," Hassan said. "All in favor of continuing the employee support initiatives as planned, please raise your hand." Every hand went up except Dixon's. Even Victoria raised hers without hesitation. "The motion passes," Hassan announced. "The Child Care Center will open as scheduled in 2 weeks. The educational support programs will continue, and we will proudly participate in the International Youth Exchange Program." As the meeting concluded, board members approached to congratulate Marcus and the twins. Dixon gathered his papers and left without a word. Victoria lingered until most people had left. "That was an impressive presentation, Mr. James," she said. "Both yours and your son's." "Thank you for your support," Marcus replied. "It was unexpected." Victoria's expression remained professional, but her eyes softened slightly. "I told you before, I follow the data, not personal feelings." She handed him a folder. "These are the final staffing assignments for the childcare center. I've selected the most qualified candidates." As she walked away, Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him. Hassan approached with the twins. "You were amazing," Marcus told his sons, hugging them tightly. Hassan smiled. "Mr. Zhang's announcement was perfect timing. I had no idea he planned to fund the entire first year." "Neither did we," Elijah admitted. "He just told us this morning before the meeting." As they left the boardroom, they found Benjamin waiting in the hallway, looking excited again. "There's a producer from American Spotlight on the phone," he said. "They want to feature the twins' story in a primetime special. This is huge. Millions of viewers across the country." Marcus looked at his sons, then at Hassan. What had started as a simple act of desperation, bringing his children to work, had transformed into something none of them could have imagined. Marcus stared at Benjamin in disbelief. "American Spotlight? The news program? Benjamin nodded excitedly. They've been following your story since the viral video. Their producer, Sarah Donnelly, wants to interview you and the twins next week. This could be amazing publicity for Bright Star. No, Marcus said firmly. My sons aren't going to be paraded on national television. They've already dealt with enough attention. Hassan placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. Let's discuss this in my office. Once the door closed behind them, Hassan spoke gently. I understand your concerns, Marcus, but this might be beneficial for everyone. How? Marcus asked. The boys are already struggling with being those kids from the video at Wellington. More publicity will make it worse. Or it might change the narrative, Hassan suggested. Right now, people see a viral moment. This interview could show the real story, your journey, the boys' talents, the positive changes at Bright Star. Benjamin knocked and entered with a tablet. Sarah Donnelly sent some information about the segment. They want to focus on educational opportunity and corporate responsibility. Very positive angle. Marcus sighed. I need to think about it and talk to the twins. That evening at their apartment, Marcus discussed the interview request with his sons. To his surprise, they seemed interested. Dr. Montgomery says it could help other kids like us, Elijah explained. If people see what's possible, maybe more companies will create programs like Bright Stars. Isaiah nodded. And Mr. Jung thinks it will help the exchange program get more support. Marcus studied his sons' faces. Are you sure? Some questions might be difficult. People might judge our family. People already judge us, Dad, Isaiah said quietly. At least this way, we get to tell our own story. The next morning, Marcus called Benjamin to accept the interview. Preparations began immediately. The American Spotlight team wanted to film at Bright Star, Wellington Institute, and the James family apartment. Benjamin scheduled media training sessions. To everyone's surprise, Victoria Reeves offered to help. Mr. James, she said, appearing at his office door, I have experience preparing executives for difficult media appearances. I'd like to assist with your interview preparation. Marcus looked up from his desk. You want to help me? Victoria entered and closed the door. American Spotlight isn't a friendly local news program. They're known for tough questions that catch people off guard. You should be prepared. Why do you care? Marcus asked directly. Victoria's professional demeanor slipped slightly. Because despite our differences, what you've accomplished here matters. I won't let poor preparation undermine it. For the next 3 days, Victoria drilled Marcus with practice questions, each more difficult than the last. Why should viewers believe your sons weren't exploited for corporate publicity? She asked sharply. Isn't it convenient that your children's talents appeared just when you needed a better job? Some critics suggest Hassan promoted you out of guilt rather than merit. Your response? Marcus struggled initially, but gradually developed thoughtful answers. Victoria was a demanding coach, but surprisingly supportive. That was better, she said after a particularly difficult session. Remember to pause before answering emotional questions. Breathe, then respond with facts. At Wellington Institute, Dr. Montgomery helped the twins prepare as well. The interviewer might ask how you feel about being in the spotlight, she explained. Just be honest. There's no wrong answer if it's truthful. Elijah practiced speaking clearly and making eye contact. Isaiah worked on managing his nervous habit of fidgeting with his hands. What if they ask about Mom? Isaiah asked quietly. Dr. Montgomery's expression softened. That's entirely your choice. You can share as much or as little as feels right to you. The day before filming began, the Child Care Center officially opened at Bright Star. A ribbon-cutting ceremony brought employees from all departments together. Children ranging from infants to pre-teens explored the colorful space with excited voices. Marcus stood near the entrance watching employees bring their children inside. Maria, the night cleaning supervisor, approached with her 7-year-old daughter. Mr. James, she said, tears in her eyes. I never thought I would see something like this here. My daughter can come with me during spring break now. I won't lose money on childcare anymore. More employees shared similar stories. A security guard introduced his son with special needs. A maintenance worker brought twin toddlers. Each family had struggled with childcare during non-traditional hours. Hassan watched from across the room, his expression thoughtful. Benjamin moved through the crowd with a photographer capturing moments for Brightstar's website. Victoria supervised everything with her usual efficiency, but Marcus noticed her smile when a young child thanked her for the pretty blue walls she had selected. The next morning, the American Spotlight crew arrived at Brightstar. Sarah Donnelly, a poised woman with short auburn hair, greeted Marcus professionally. "Thank you for agreeing to this interview, Mr. James. We've been following your story with great interest." Camera operators set up equipment in various locations. Sarah explained the process. "We'll film B-roll footage today, scenes of daily life at Brightstar, the child care center, your interactions with colleagues. Tomorrow we'll film at Wellington with your sons, then at your home. The sit-down interview will be last." As filming began, Sarah shadowed Marcus through his workday. She observed meetings, toured the child care center, and interviewed Hassan about the company's transformation. "What changed your perspective on employee support programs?" Sarah asked Hassan. "Seeing potential where I hadn't bothered to look before," Hassan replied honestly. "Marcus and his sons showed me that talent exists at every level of an organization. We simply need to recognize it." During a lunch break, Sarah reviewed Marcus's background information with her research assistant. Something caught her attention. "Wait, he was a pre-law student at New York University with a 3.8 GPA?" She looked thoughtful. "Did he drop out because of financial reasons?" "According to our research, his wife became pregnant with twins," the assistant explained. "He left school to work full-time." Sarah made notes in her tablet. "Let's explore that angle. The educational dreams he deferred for his family are now coming full circle through his sons." The following day, filming continued at Wellington Institute. The twins demonstrated their language skills in the language lab, conversing with teachers in Mandarin, French, Arabic, and German. Dr. Montgomery shared her assessment with Sarah. "Elijah and Isaiah have the highest language aptitude scores we've ever recorded at Wellington. Their ability to not just speak but think in multiple languages is extraordinary." The cameras captured a moment when a student who had previously been unkind approached the twins in the hallway. "My dad saw the video of you guys in the boardroom," the boy said awkwardly. "He said he was wrong about you. I'm sorry I was mean before." The twins accepted his apology with grace beyond their years. That evening, the crew filmed at the James family apartment. Marcus had cleaned thoroughly, though Sarah assured him they wanted authentic scenes of their home life. The twins showed the camera crew their shared bedroom, where bookshelves overflowed with language textbooks and novels in multiple languages. A framed photo of their grandmother, Dr. Amelia James, sat on their desk. "She taught us that languages build bridges between different worlds," Elijah explained, touching the frame gently. Isaiah pointed to another photo of a beautiful young woman. "That's our mom. She got sick when we were 5. Dad took care of her and us until she died." The vulnerability of that moment wasn't lost on anyone in the room. Finally, the day of the sit-down interview arrived. The Brightstar conference room had been transformed with professional lighting and cameras. Marcus wore a new suit. The twins sat beside him in their Wellington uniforms. Sarah began with simple questions about their background and the viral video incident. Then her questions became more pointed. "Marcus, some critics suggest your sons were exploited, first by Hassan for business purposes, then by Brightstar for publicity. How do you respond to that?" Marcus took a deep breath, remembering Victoria's coaching. "My sons were brought into that boardroom without my knowledge or permission. That was wrong, and Hassan has acknowledged that. But what happened afterward wasn't exploitation. It was recognition. For the first time, people saw their talents instead of just seeing a janitor's kids." Sarah turned to the twins. "Do you boys feel like you're being used for publicity?" The twins exchanged glances. Elijah answered first. Number, we're doing what our grandmother taught us, using languages to connect people. Now we get to do that at a better school and through the exchange program. Isaiah added, Dad always told us our brains could take us places his job couldn't. Now that's actually happening. Sarah nodded, then asked her most difficult question. Marcus, you were once a promising pre-law student who dropped out to support your family. Do you regret the choices you made? A silence fell over the room. Marcus looked at his sons, then back at Sarah. Not for 1 second, he said firmly. I would clean bathrooms for the rest of my life if it meant my sons had opportunities. What I've learned through all of this is that potential exists everywhere. In the boardroom, in the classroom, and yes, even in the janitor pushing a broom after everyone else has gone home. His voice grew stronger. The real question isn't whether I regret my choices. It's why it took a viral video for my son's brilliance to be valued. How many other children have gifts that we're missing because we don't look in certain places? At the end of the interview, Dr. Montgomery joined them for an announcement. Wellington Institute is partnering with Bright Star Investments to create a scholarship program for the children of employees nationwide, she explained. We'll identify talented children from all backgrounds and provide educational opportunities previously unavailable to them. As the cameras stopped rolling, Sarah Donnelly shook Marcus's hand. That was powerful, Mr. James. Your segment will air next Thursday in prime time. After the crew packed up, Marcus's phone rang. The caller ID showed Columbia Law School. Puzzled, he answered. Mr. James? This is Dean Robert Harrington from Columbia Law School. I just watched your interview livestream. I'd like to discuss something with you that might fulfill a dream you put aside 15 years ago. Marcus stared at his phone in disbelief. Dean Harrington from Columbia Law School? I don't understand. I watched your American Spotlight interview livestream, the dean explained. Your story is remarkable. We'd like to discuss our part-time law program that allows working professionals to earn their degree while maintaining their careers. That's very kind, but I'm not sure I could… Mr. James, the dean interrupted gently. Your mother-in-law, Dr. Amelia James, was a respected colleague of mine. When I realized who you were, I felt this connection was meant to happen. Would you be willing to meet next week to discuss possibilities? After hanging up, Marcus found the twins watching him with curious expressions. Who was that, Dad? Elijah asked. Marcus smiled, still processing the conversation. That was the dean of Columbia Law School. He wants to talk about me possibly attending their part-time program. You could be a lawyer? Isaiah's eyes widened. Like you always wanted? Maybe, Marcus said cautiously. It would be difficult with work and everything else. But not impossible, Elijah said confidently. 1 year later, the grand ballroom of the Plaza Hotel glittered with light and elegance. Bright Star Investments was hosting a gala celebrating the international partnership with Zhang Industries and the launch of several new initiatives. Hundreds of guests in formal attire mingled, enjoying music and refreshments. Hassan Al-Farsi stood at the entrance, greeting guests as they arrived. He had changed over the past year. His smile was more genuine, his posture less rigid with insecurity. Welcome, Senator. Thank you for coming, he said, shaking hands with the distinguished older man. I believe you'll be impressed by what we've accomplished this year. Marcus arrived with the twins, all three wearing matching tuxedos. At 11 years old, the boys had grown taller over the past year. They carried themselves with quiet confidence that hadn't existed before. Marcus, Hassan greeted him warmly. The man of the hour, are you ready for your speech? Marcus adjusted his bow tie nervously. As ready as I'll ever be. Public speaking is still not my favorite thing. You've addressed the board 12 times now, testified before the city council about workplace reforms, and survived a national television interview, Hassan reminded him. This will be easy by comparison. The twins moved through the crowd with surprising ease, greeting international guests in their native languages. Mr. Zhang had arrived from China that morning, accompanied by several business associates and the first group of exchange program participants, 5 children from diverse backgrounds who had shown exceptional language aptitude. Victoria Reeves, elegant in a deep blue evening gown, efficiently managed the event details. She had found her place over the past year as the director of the expanded childcare program, which now operated in 3 Bright Star locations around the country. "Everything is on schedule," she informed Hassan. "We should begin the formal program in 10 minutes. Dr. Montgomery arrived with several Wellington faculty members. She immediately sought out the twins. "Boys, your trip preparations for Paris are finalized," she told them excitedly. "The French embassy has arranged special tours of the language institutes." "Merci beaucoup," they responded in perfect French. Benjamin Carter approached with a professional camera crew. "Marcus, we'd like to get some footage of you with the Bright Star Scholars before your speech." In a quiet corner of the ballroom, 20 children ages 8 to 13 gathered with Marcus. They wore formal clothes provided by Bright Star, their faces excited but slightly nervous in the elegant surroundings. "Remember what we practiced," Marcus told them gently. "Just be yourselves. Your stories are powerful exactly as they are." These were the first class of Bright Star Scholars, children from low-income communities across America who had demonstrated exceptional language abilities. The program provided educational opportunities, mentorship, and resources that would have been unimaginable for them just a year ago. Hassan clinked a glass to get everyone's attention. The crowd quieted as he took the stage. "Distinguished guests, partners, and friends," he began. "1 year ago, Bright Star Investments experienced what I can only call a moment of awakening. What began as an embarrassing situation, a CEO trying to humiliate a janitor's children, became the catalyst for profound change." The audience listened attentively as Hassan outlined the initiatives created over the past year: the child care centers in 3 cities, the educational support programs, the international exchange partnership. "But tonight isn't about me or even about Bright Star," Hassan continued. "It's about recognizing talent and potential in places we too often overlook. It's about creating systems that allow that talent to flourish." He gestured toward Marcus. "I'd like to introduce the man who has led these initiatives with extraordinary vision and compassion, our Director of Employee Resources and Community Partnerships, Marcus James." The applause was warm as Marcus took the stage. He still found it strange to be in the spotlight rather than cleaning around the edges of rooms like this one. "Thank you," he began. "A year ago, I was working 2 jobs to support my family. I brought my sons to work during school breaks because I had no other options. I was invisible to most of the people in the company where I worked." He paused, looking around the room. "Today, I lead programs that have helped hundreds of employees and their families. I consult with other corporations implementing similar initiatives. And I've completed my first year at Columbia Law School's part-time program." More applause filled the room. Marcus smiled. "But the most meaningful change has been watching 20 extraordinary children, our first class of Bright Star Scholars, discover their potential." The young scholars joined him on stage. One by one, they introduced themselves and shared brief stories of their backgrounds and dreams. "My mom cleans hotel rooms," said a young girl named Sophia. "Now I'm learning Japanese and Chinese. Next year I'll visit Tokyo with the exchange program." "My dad drives a taxi," added a boy named Miguel. "I speak 4 languages now. The program helped me get a scholarship to Wellington Institute." After the scholars returned to their seats, Mr. Zhang took the stage. His expression was solemn but pleased. "When we began our partnership with Bright Star, we saw a business opportunity," he said. "What we discovered was a shared vision for recognizing human potential." He announced the creation of a permanent foundation to support gifted children from underprivileged backgrounds worldwide. This foundation will ensure that these programs continue regardless of economic conditions or changing corporate priorities. Dr. Montgomery spoke next, revealing that the educational model developed for the twins would be implemented in 20 public schools, serving low-income communities next year. Language acquisition opens doors to cultural understanding and economic opportunity, she explained. Every child deserves access to these powerful tools. As the formal presentations concluded, Marcus returned to the stage with his sons. "Before we move to dinner, my sons have prepared something special," he said. "Music has always been a universal language. Tonight, they will perform a piece they composed that incorporates elements from all 7 languages they speak." The twins moved to a small stage area where 2 cellos waited. They had begun learning the instruments at Wellington, discovering a natural talent for music that complemented their language abilities. As they played, their original composition wove together melodies from different cultures, while they sang short phrases in each language they knew. The piece moved seamlessly between English, Mandarin, French, Arabic, German, Spanish, and Italian. The audience sat spellbound, many with tears in their eyes. When they finished, the room erupted in a standing ovation. The twins bowed humbly, then rejoined their father. Later that evening, as the gala continued, Victoria approached Marcus with rare warmth in her expression. "Your sons are extraordinary," she said. "But then so is their father." Marcus smiled. "Thank you, Victoria, for everything. I know you helped make all this possible, even when you had doubts." She adjusted her glasses. "I've learned that sometimes the most unlikely solutions are the most effective." As the evening drew to a close, Hassan raised a final toast. To seeing potential where others see only limitations. To building bridges between worlds that once seemed impossibly far apart. After the guests departed, Marcus and the twins rode home in a town car provided by Brightstar. They had moved 6 months earlier to a modest but comfortable house in a good school district halfway between Brightstar and Wellington Institute. The twins fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the evening's excitement. Marcus watched them, remembering how often they had fallen asleep while he cleaned offices late at night, how he had carried them home on the subway in the early morning hours. As the car pulled up to their new home, Marcus gently woke his sons. "We're home, boys." They stumbled sleepily up the walkway. Before entering, Marcus paused to look up at the stars visible above their quiet street. He thought of his late wife, Tanya, and her mother, Dr. Amelia. Without their influence, none of this would have happened. "Dad?" Elijah called from the doorway. "Are you coming?" "Yes," Marcus answered, joining his sons in the warm light of their home. "I'm right here." Inside, on the living room wall, hung 3 framed items. A photograph of Tanya holding the newborn twins, a worn Columbia University ID badge that had belonged to Dr. Amelia, and between them, the gray janitor's uniform Marcus had worn for 5 years at Brightstar. He kept it there not as a reminder of where he had been, but as a testament to the dignity of all work and the potential that exists in every person, if only we take the time to truly see them. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen.